We try to have really pointed questions and conversations early on in the situation when they move in. You know, are you prepared for this? How do you feel about your apartment? How do you feel about your neighbors? How do you feel about this? What if this were to happen? What if this were to happen? How would you like me to help you? How would you like anybody to help you? Have you thought about having people over and then if they don't leave? Sometimes it's hard to say, you know, take away the welcome mat and not have anybody visit you. Go downtown and visit them. You know, a lot of our clients have finally received, you know, the opportunity to get an apartment and be in an apartment. It's a wonderful experience, and they want to share it with their friends. And it's just having those really, you know, open questions and conversations around support and what could happen.
Hi, Richard.
How
are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I was just going over my Tenancy Agreement Act here, and it says something about the reasonable enjoyment of others. I plan on having friends over. I just come from shelter, and I want to have some overnight visits. Is that going to be an issue?
Let's have a look at that. So reasonable enjoyment means that every tenant has the right to enjoy their unit as long as it's not infringing on the rights of your neighbors to enjoy theirs.
How's that?
Well, when you have guests over, you're responsible for them. And when they're staying over for longer periods than just a few days, that can turn into a home takeover situation. Is that something that you've had experience with?
No, I can't say I have. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Of course. So home takeovers can happen in many different ways, and one of the ways that we see it happening is when we have guests over and they don't leave when we expect them to.
Oh, so if they won't leave, is that something you can do? You can kick them out for me?
So I can't kick anyone out of your unit. You're responsible for your guests. However, I can support you in a few strategies around home takeovers. One of the ways I can help is to help you have a conversation with your guests and let them know what you're expecting of them. Another way that I've helped others is to create a guest policy or some house rules before having guests over. That way your expectations are clear. If you have unwanted guests who are refusing to leave, I can support you in having a conversation with them. If we find that that's not working, or you're not comfortable, or you don't feel safe with that, we can speak to your landlord, and we can also connect with police.
Oh boy, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. On occasion I use drugs, so is that going to be an issue?
Well, that's one of the ways that home takeovers tend to happen. So sometimes other people who are using or distributing drugs may feel that your unit is the ideal, safe place to use and distribute from. So they may want to come into your unit and continue using it even when you feel they're not welcome anymore.
Well, I think that's everything. I thank you for informing me about home takeovers.
Yeah, no worries. I hope you enjoy your place.
All right.
I think I'll talk about what their plans are now that they have their own place, what they would do differently from the last time. Kind of talk about what some of their triggers might be for themselves as to what might have led to that. Were they friends, were they acquaintances, or and what the difference between the two are. Talk about some steps of what to do if your guest decides not to leave as well. And for the first little while, I maybe perhaps schedule some visits where I might come visit that individual, or that person comes sees me, or just connect with other resources in the community or in that building, so that they're linked up with somebody.